the sightings have been increasing, and that's part of the reason that I contacted you.
Okay. Black rats are pretty common. I'm not trying to say that's what they are, but, any other distinguishing characteristics? Are they different color?
Yeah, they're sort of a grayish brown. They have a long tail, and the last half of it is white.
Okay, we really can't do much until we know what it is we're dealing with, and obviously we're dealing with something that we're not used to, so.
Yeah.
Hardin brings in Parker Hall of the USDA Wildlife Services.
Well, here we are. This is ground zero. This is where she's been seeing whatever she's been seeing. Rodents, bigger than black rats, bigger than the rats they normally see, and they're coming across right in front of her. Apparently no particular fear of humans.
She's seeing them on a regular basis now.
Pretty much nightly now. She describes a pretty big creature. 3 or 4 pound something or other.
Well, I think a good idea would be to maybe get some traps and see what we find. There's only one way to know exactly what's lurking around here. Set some traps and catch it. If they do have a population of big rats here on the Keys, the consequences could be devastating. Rats are especially dangerous on islands because they can take over and wipe out entire species.
It's a microenvironment, and once rats get onto an island, in many cases they have endangered species by eating the eggs of birds, for example. It's taken quite an effort to eradicate rats from islands.
Alaska, along the southern edge, Rat Island. It's the first North American island to be invaded by rats, but it's unlikely to be the last. The rats have eliminated most of the native birds in the island, especially nesting birds. 80% of the world's major islands are infested with rats. Handling rats on islands is nothing compared to dealing with them on the mainland.
We can eradicate them successfully from islands. On the mainland, they're very spread out, and while we can eliminate them from some areas, the chances of eradicating them are not very good.
Farmers in Australia know this firsthand. In 1993, after a particularly bumper harvest, there was an explosion in the mice population along the east coast of Australia. Millions of mice swarmed the land, intent on feeding their insatiable hunger. These ravenous rodents eat the equivalent of 20% of their body weight each and every day. They devoured everything in sight. They destroyed 500,000 tons of wheat. Enough food to feed the population of Utah for 4 years. The government used grain laced with poison to try to bring the mice under control. But they come back again and again. And rat infestations plague the world.
Rats are really the ultimate of the invasive species. They seem to get everywhere around the world, and they cause just innumerable damage, partly because of their aggressiveness, because of their reproductive capacity.
Southeast Asia. Every 50 years, bamboo blooms, and the area is overrun by rats. These hungry critters devour every bamboo flower they can find, and then move on to crops and food stores. In 1959, this influx of rats left a tidal wave of starvation and death in northeastern India. It led to a rural uprising that lasted more than 20 years. The swarm of rats came again in 2008, creating famine conditions for more than 1 million people in India and 150,000 in Bangladesh.
And they can really exploit resources, and so they can cause significant harm to ecosystems and to human resources.
These explosions in the rodent population could be a glimpse of what lies in store for the Florida Keys. An idea rendered more unbelievable by the increasing amount of reports from local residents. Renee Anderson spotted some unwelcome guests in her fountain.
One day I was out working in the garden and working on my pond, and that's when I saw this huge rat come out of there. It looked like a cross between a rat and a possum. And he ran in front of me, and it scared the daylights out of me. It was huge. It was probably 4 or 5 pounds. It was a big rat. The cats even watched him go by. They wouldn't do anything to stop it.
just what kind of animal is this? Florida game wardens have caught something, and for now, all they know is it's big. It looks like a rat, but it's at least 4 times the size of the 1-pound Norway rat usually found in urban areas.
So we have an animal that we're not sure what it is. It's a big mystery. We have to find out what it is, and we have to find out in a hurry because we know that they are spreading. We don't know what threats they pose.
Could this huge unknown rat devastate Florida's crops and wildlife? A rodent 15 times bigger than the common sewer rat has been spotted in New Jersey. A creature that far outweighs the usual underground urban dwellers, the Norway rat.
People will probably realize that this is not a Norway rat. This is a Ratzilla. There's a new kid on the block, and it's big.
Is this Ratzilla linked to a recent discovery in Grassy Key, Florida? Down in the Keys, wildlife experts have caught what is clearly one big rat. To figure out exactly what it is, Parker Hall with the USDA takes a hair sample for DNA analysis. Due to its size, he can immediately eliminate one suspect, the capybara. At a whopping 150 pounds, this creature definitely makes most city rats look like church mice. Even a baby capybara would outweigh the new critter. Though native to South America, there have been reports of them living in the wetlands of 4 counties of Florida. Still, the animal spotted in New Jersey just outside Manhattan was only about 15 pounds. Plenty big, but not big enough. So, it could be a relative of something more like one of these, a nutria rat. Like the capybara, these aren't technically part of the rat family, even though they appear to have many similarities.
Nutria resemble a rat because of their brown hairless tail. However, they are far removed from the rat on the family tree. They're kind of on a branch of their own.
But by any means, these semi-aquatic rodents are big and dangerous.
They're nasty tempered. They carry tapeworms, smelly, very dirty animals.
The 15-pound nutria eats the equivalent of 25% of its body weight each and every day. And those big appetites mean big problems. And they're masters at destroying their local environment. Nutria prefer warm climates and freshwater wetlands, and have left their mark on a dozen of our southern states.
They will basically eat everything under their feet, and all this marsh will eventually turn into open water.
They're also compromising our cities, like New Orleans, where nutria erode the canals, causing the streets above them to collapse.
The canals aren't closing, the integrity of the whole drainage system is impaired.
The nutria rats aren't native to Louisiana, or even to North America. In 1936, they were imported to the United States from South America by a furrier who used them to make coats.
Fashion note from Hollywood. For the rugged gent, a sack coat of South American nutria.
Once they got into the wild, these rodents spread quickly, and with their valuable hides, they provided a good living for trappers like 71-year-old Sterling Frey.
When you start trapping around Thanksgiving and for Christmas, you had 3,000, 4,000 hides to sell for Christmas. That would be Christmas money.
But in the mid-1980s, fur coats had fallen out of favor, and the demand for nutria hides plummeted 97%. So hunters stopped hunting, and the nutria population soon exploded to nearly 20 million animals nationwide.
Once the fur died down, and then it just came back with a vengeance.
The situation called for drastic measures, and local officials even looked at introducing a natural predator that would be even bigger than the nutria rats: alligators.
The problem with that is then we have an alligator problem.
Outside New Orleans, the Jefferson Parish community knew they had to take direct aim at the nutria rats with a SWAT team.
Since 1995, we have actually been using .22 caliber rifles to come out routinely and around eradicate the nutrient.